America, y'all not tired yet, man. I just don't believe that America's not tired yet. I know that a certain portion of Americans can't speak their mind, but wink, wink if you're in trouble. Blink if you're distressed. That portion of America, are you tired of this yet? My God. Michigan police apologize and will conduct review after images of Sunmen used for target practice. A police chief in Michigan has apologized after photos revealed his department was using targets with images of Sunmen for shooting practice. Jeff King, the chief of the Farmington Hills Police Department, said at a city council meeting late last month that the department is conducting a legal review of the matter. King said he takes responsibility for how the training was conducted and apologized to the community. The department and the city council, he said one of the biggest focuses for training is exposure to people based on certain situations and not the way they look. We have a diverse community, he said. Our community as well as our department is diverse, inclusive, and it doesn't stop at our training. Well, guys, diverse is really like, it depends on what you mean by diversity. So Michigan is 14% sun and over 60% glider. Okay? 14%, close to the national average, a little bit more than the national average of sun folk in Michigan. So keep that in mind. So the targets at this one specific police station, this one of probably 500 different, maybe 3 or 4, 500 different police departments in Michigan, used Sunman targets for their shooting range. Now, all 17,984 other police departments could use glider people as targets, and there would be no outcry, not one outcry. So the chief said he will, when he gets the findings. Attorney Dion Webster Cox said in a Facebook post last month that a family reported photos of Sunmen riddled with bullet holes in target practice to her law office following a Boy Scouts trip to the police department. So the Boy Scouts went to visit the police department, and their takeaway was that they saw some targets down at the shooting range that were riddled with holes, and the faces on them were Sun people. So she went straight to her lawyer. Think about that. You're a mom. You hear that your son went to the police department with his Boy Scout troop. And they went in the offices and they saw the squad cars and they got to talk on the walkie-talkie and they met the officers and they saw the cells, the lockup. They played with the handcuffs. They did 1,000 different things. And oh yeah, they saw some targets. And the targets happened to have been targets of Sunmen. So she went straight to her lawyer. She said the family asked her to speak on their behalf and to share the photos they took. These organizations and municipalities must practice radical honesty and acknowledging their negative biases and find ways to change. Otherwise, you will have even bigger discrimination cases and more lawsuits against the city of Farmington Hills. Its school districts and the police department, Webster Cox said. So they going after everybody, because the incident comes amid heightened focus on relations between law enforcement and communities of color. The city of Akron, Ohio, was in a state of emergency on Monday after police released video of officers shooting 25-year-old Janet Walker, who was black, scores of times following a traffic stop. King is the police chief, my bad. The police chief says, "Nothing hurts me more than when the Farmington Hills community itself is hurting. I can't overlook this, but I promise you this. This will make us stronger. This will make us better. This will make us more transparent. And this community overall will come out better for this," he said. So Chief Jeff King said, "The targets that the department used are consistent with the Michigan Commission on Law Enforcement Standards." He said the images in the practice area are meant to reflect a combination of threats and non-threats. King said a threat assessment target is for determining if a threat exists, while a silhouette target is only for target acquisition. He said targets are a mix of genders and races and hold a range of different threatening and non-threatening items. So the families didn't even know what they were looking at. They was taken totally out of context. It was just, they could have come at another time and the targets could have been all Crouching Tiger women. He went on to say that 85% of the targets are glacier gliders and 15% of the target are sunmen. So right there, the story should be over, right? That's easy to confirm, you know, because the family of a Boy Scout who was visiting the police station, they deserve to be able to see what all the targets at the police station look like. That's where we're at now. You a Sun person, you just demand anything. I want to see what all the targets look like at the police station. Now, damn it. And you just get it. And I'm sure that's what it is. I'm sure 100% of the targets are glacier gliders at most places. I bet this is one of the rare places where they even have 15% of the targets they use during shootings are Sun people. He goes on to say, having a mix of these non-threat and threat targets in an active training situation is the preferred method to train officers, to prepare them to make split-second decisions when it comes to life-saving, life-taking, or non-threat situations, King said. He said future visits by members of the public to the department will include a full explanation of the background of the targets. And the department apologized to the Boy Scouts group for not fully explaining that to them. Listen, nothing's going to matter. There's no solutions to anything involving some people. That's not going to change anything. Explaining it to them, kissing their behinds around the corner, kowtowing to them, bending over back. None of that's going to change anything. You actually will have more lawsuits because they're going to say, when you try to explain it, they're going to say that that's racist. You're like, yeah, so we use a mix of targets. We use some African-American targets. We use some They told us that I sent my son to the police station for what I thought was going to be a good experience to bridge the gap. Because you know all the things we dealing with in the community every day with them hunting us down and killing us. And the first thing they said was that they have time. So nothing going to work. Okay. So all of the fatal shooting victims in the state of Michigan, which is 14% son. Yes, Michigan, 14% son. In an attempt to find out who the people of Michigan are using this target practice. Whether Sudmen only make up 15% of the targets in the streets of Michigan, as they do in the gun ranges in the Michigan Police Department in Farmington Hills. So do Sunmen make up 15% of the targets as they do the population and as they do the targets at the police station, gun range? Let's see. So right off the bat, man, we got a couple of gliders, man. Salute, man. Gliders showing up, man. Wasn't expecting that. Gliders about 70% of the population here in Michigan. Let's see. Let's just click on one of these gliders, man. All right. So Tabitha Cornwall. Westland man charged with murder after shooting girlfriend during argument. Man, Tab, what happened? Oh, that happened. That happened. Carl Anthony Taylor happened. Yikes. And that's another interesting note I want you guys to understand while you're watching this gun memorial. Let's go through this gun memorial. The majority of the people only were killed by some people, regardless of race. So right off the bat, it's looking like some people make up a higher percentage of the targets in the streets of Michigan than they do in the gun range at the police department gun range in Farmington Hills, Michigan. Right off the bat, we're seeing it's looking like some people are probably a conservative estimate, and you guys in the chat help me out. I would say 70% of the fatal gunshot victims in the state. Oh, they go Saint Lyoya. Remember him? The one that was turned a traffic stop into a murder with the cop, Grand Rapids. It was a big story a couple months ago. The African brother. And they'll use that. Well, see, that's why they shot him, because they're using us as targets. That's why they're more likely to shoot us. Even though they're not more likely to shoot us, and you make up, and I'm being conservative, 70% of the fatal gunshot. Look, this brother got shot. This brother got killed twice, man. Nah, but really what happened is they put the same picture there for two different people. Maybe they probably made a mistake. But yeah. You make about 70% of the fatal gunshot victims, man. And why? And nothing about this. Not a peep about this. Just about the Farmington Hills Police Department had some targets in their gun range that were of Sunmen. And they're mad because all of the targets are supposed to be of gliders. All the targets are supposed to be of gliders. All of them. And the fact that they found out that all the targets that the police use to shoot at aren't gliders, there's going to be hell to pay. And everybody got to apologize. And a bunch of people going to get fired. And there'll be protests and lawsuits. And not a peeping word. It might be 75%, man. I'm going to say 75% of the fatal gunshot victims in Michigan are Sun people. Because this is getting ridiculous, man. Not a word. You'll never hear a basketball player or a football player or activist talk about this. Never. The fact that I'll make up about 75 to 80% of the gunshot victims in a state where you're 14% of the population. And the biggest controversy in your state is some Boy Scouts went to visit the police station, got shown around, probably had the time of their lives, and while taken to the gun range, saw that some of the targets that the targets were Sunmen, and objected to them not all being gliders. All the targets should be gliders. None of them should be Sunmen. And commenced to start a whole brouhaha and a racial firestorm.
But we begin tonight with controversial target practice at the Farmington Hills Police Department. Good evening and welcome to 7 Action News at 11. I'm Carolyn Clifford.
And I'm Dave Llewellyn. The controversy centers on the shooting range and reports the police department used paper targets of black men. The discovery made by a Boy Scouts troop touring the station. Now there are calls for an independent review of the practice.
7 Action News reporter Darren Cunningham caught up with the police chief and a city leader calling for immediate change.
7 Action News spoke with both the police chief and a city councilman here in Farmington Hills who say they're looking to grow from this incident and improve things here moving forward.
The fact is, we took them down, and I want them permanently taken down and not never used again in our community.
Now, does a glider politician get to come up and say that he wants the target, 85% of the targets that they shoot at in their range are gliders? Can a glider politician get a news camera in his face and a microphone and flat-footed, chest out, shoulders back, straight to the camera say, I want all the glider, all of them, the targets that the police shoot at, want them all taken down. And I want them taken down permanently. I want y'all shooting, shoot at Muppet characters. Shoot at Kermit the Frog and Miss Piggy from now on. Can we have that? I don't think so.
7 Action News spoke with both the police chief and a city councilman here in Farmington Hills who say they're looking to grow from this incident and improve things here moving forward.
Fact is, we took them down, and I want them permanently taken down and not never used again in our community.
These shooting targets are what Farmington Hills City Councilman Michael Bridges is referring to. They were up in the city police department's basement. Back in April, someone with a Boy Scout troop took photos that depicted black men as the targets. The photos eventually drummed up attention, causing local residents to speak out at last night's city council meeting. Police Chief Jeff King apologized, but he also said it's a mischaracterization. He said there were white male targets up as well. He says a majority of them were white.
Yeah, but the kids didn't take any pictures of the white. Well, you know what? We don't know what those kids did. Those kids might have taken pictures of the glider targets. And all of the targets need to be gliders. Make sure you hit the PayPal, Cash App, Super Chat. You don't get this perspective and coverage anywhere. Smash that like button. Smash that Super Chat. If all of the targets have been gliders, who do probably $10 to 20% of the violent crime here in this city, if that would have been fine.
Police Chief Jeff King apologized, but he also said it's a mischaracterization. He said there were white male targets up as well. He says a majority of them were white.
We are looking at it as an opportunity to strengthen and review our training and our practices, and to further strengthen our community and address their concerns.
Thursday, Southfield-based attorney Deion Webster Cox held a press conference about the targets, which we attended.
Nobody who had that press conference, nor did the press, call any of us to get an opinion, a comment, answer a question for us to investigate, and instead it hit the rumor mill.
Actually, I called and spoke with the city's public information officer during that press conference. She referred me to the police chief, who I called, texted, and emailed as well. I then forwarded that email to the public information officer for help reaching the chief. I didn't hear back. The next day, Friday, the police department emailed a press release to the newsroom. Councilman Bridges had also attended that press conference.
Part of my efforts of being on council for the last 14 years, I've been very active on the issue of making sure our workforce is diverse. And secondly, in that we have police equity in our policing.
Councilman Bridges says since January 2021, he's been calling on the city to hire a DEI or a diversity, equity, and inclusion officer. Chief King says that decision would come from city administration.
That is a citywide initiative. We are very committed to our DEI efforts in our city, working closely with our HR director and our city administration. On behalf of the department, we are one of the most diverse departments around. Our diversity is really outstanding.
The chief says the targets are in line with the state's law enforcement standards, but he says a comprehensive review is underway. In Farmington Hills, Darren Cunningham, 7 Action News.